Wowie! That was a long time ago. Hi, welcome. It's Saturday, and I have a barking dog downstairs who won't shut up, and I'll apologize right now for that, and then I won't mention it again. He might just keep going for a little while. He's here visiting. I think he thought somebody was at the front door, and he keeps barking. So we'll be hearing that punctuated throughout the interview. Apologies ahead of time. Anyway, I'm really happy to have back for the second time here for a little interview on my Don Ross Guitar Academy stream. I think he was my first or second guest back when I first started the DRGA back in heavy-duty pandemic time. And it's really nice to have him back for a little catch-up. So please welcome all the way from Topeka, Kansas, Andy McKee, which should be showing up there. There he is. No, there he is. I'm pointing the wrong way. Hi.
Hey. Hey, Don, what's up?
Nice to see you again.
I was see you again, man.
Fun. I don't know how well you could hear the the video I was playing, but it was from a live show you and I did somewhere in the UK in some church somewhere, and it was in the very
yes,
early
that was
days.
Union Chapel in London.
That was in London. That was in London. Okay.
Yep.
And yeah, there were a bunch of cell phone people in the early days of cell phone videos, obviously. But that one, I always love listening to that. I mean, I've maybe watched that video 3 or 4 times over the years. Mostly because we get to do something in there that fingerstyle guitarists rarely get to do, which is actually jam.
Yeah. Little improv there. Yeah. Getting wild with the whammy pedal even. Yeah.
Yeah. I had that multi-effects unit, and I was having fun with the pedal on it. You could use it as a wah wah setting, or you could use it as an octave setting or a volume setting, or depending on which button you stomped on. You had to hope that you were stomping hard enough. So how have things been? How are things in Topeka? How's family life? How's the weather?
Oh, good, man. Things are great. My boys, Lachlan's 13 now. He actually just got the lead role in this Mad Hatter play at the middle school. So he's being a budding thespian, I guess you could say. And Brendan's doing well. He's in 5th grade, and Christine's great. Man, I can't complain too much. I actually made a meatloaf this morning because I'm going to a meatloaf sandwich party tonight. That's what you do as a middle-aged Midwesterner, I guess. You get excited for a meatloaf sandwich party on a Saturday night.
Or a meatloaf tribute band. Or a meatloaf tribute band. You could combine the two, finally. Why doesn't somebody combine the meatloaf tribute band with the meatloaf dinner?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no kidding. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. I gotta tell you.
I'd do anything for loaf.
For loaf.
Got some people saying hello here on the YouTubes. Yes, Castine, I'm glad you liked my t-shirt. Adrian Blue is there saying hello from Sacramento, I presume. And Gary saying hi from Vancouver, and Castine from Germany. Oh, damn. Your audio is doubled again. Damn, we got this problem. How did I fix this last time? Hold on 1 second. Oh, I hate when this happens.
Fiddlesticks.
Mm-hmm. That's not it. I remember having this problem years ago, and I fixed it. And customize interview settings. Very weird. Let me try. No, if I do that, you probably have to get you to reconnect. So I won't do that. Only Andy is doubled. Yeah, I know that was a problem. Remember, I had Dustin on here one time, and it was doing that. Let me just see if I can do something about this. And between the dog barking and now finding out that the audio is doubling, I'm a little frustrated. I don't have the broadcast. Okay. There's an echo cancellation. Use insulation.
Oh, you cut out there for a second.
Nope. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I guess Andy's audio is still doubling, yes? Yeah, it should be some echo cancellation at Andy's setup. I think it's the stream software for yeah. I have all that. Adrian, thank you. I've got okay. If I do enable echo cancellation for external speakers, then Andy can't hear me anymore. But I'm not using external speakers, and I'm not broadcasting the system audio, and I'm not mapping the input channels. Okay, well, you know what? Let's play another video, and and then I'll see if I can fix this. I'll play one of Andy's new project videos. This is a tune with Triplicity, the guitar trio that he has with Callum Graham and Trevor Gordon Hall, and it's a tune called The Blue Hour. Beautiful tune. Now I flicked a bunch of buttons here, and I'm hoping something worked. So, Andy, would you mind saying something? And we'll see if that doubling is gone.
Hello. Is that better? Is that worse?
So,
Is it not working?
out there in internet land, let me know. Can you hear me, Andy? Can't. I guess Andy can't hear me. Oh, you can. Okay. Good.
Yes.
Now let's see what people say in terms of whether or not we're getting the audio doubling on Andy's mic still. You're still getting a ceaselessly barking dog. It's better now. Okay, I pressed all the right
audio
buttons.
Audio doubling, audio singling.
we seem to be singling now. Okay, that's good. Now if I could just get the dog to shut up, life would be great. All right. So tell me a little bit about this Triplicity project. I want to talk about your new projects, what you're up to these days. Everybody knows you from the past, 15, 20 years doing the solo guitar thing and having blown up on the internet back in the early days of YouTube. But, life goes on and there are ups and downs in everybody's career. And it's good to know about what your new projects are. So tell me a bit about what's going on.
Yeah. So I guess the Triplicity thing came to fruition finally last year. We kind of had been kicking around the idea for a little while, me and Trevor Gordon Hall and Callum Graham. I initially met Callum through you, really. I think we met up really and got to hang out when we were both up at your guitar camp some years ago now. I can't remember how long ago that was. Seems like time's I'm losing track of how the years are going by. If it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago, it could be either one. But we were all up there in Canada with you and really got to hang out with Callum some and got to know him. Actually, just real quick, I remember the first time I really met Callum just initially was in Medicine Hat, Alberta. I played at I think it was a festival there, and after the show, he came up to the merch table with his parents, and I just remember it so clear because his mom was like, "My son's going to be playing with you one day," and she was just like so serious. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. What's your name?"
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's when I got to really meet Callum and get to hang out with him. Was up there at your guitar camp, and then I really got to meet Trevor at this Philadelphia festival. It wasn't the Philadelphia Folk Festival. It was this other thing, and it was really short lived. And none of us even played that night because it got rained out. And I think that was the end of the festival. It never even happened again. But we all just went and had beers and food and got to hang out and get to know each other a bit more. So anyway, we've just been friends for a long time and would occasionally get chances to tour, and we would always play something together, a song or two or three at the end of the show. And we were just like, man, this is just so much fun, because you don't always gel real well with every other guitar player. It's, some people have different ideas of what they want to do on the guitar, and it might not just fit with what you're thinking or whatever. So it just really worked with all three of us. We had similar approaches in what we want to do with music and everything. So it was like, we just really need to record some of this stuff. And so this first album anyway was taking some of our old stuff that we had sat in on, at the end of these concerts, and we're like, well, let's record that one. Let's record that one. Let's record this one. So that's how the first album came to be. And it's been great. The response has been real nice, and we're heading to Japan later this year, which has been really exciting. I know those guys had never been before, so I was like hyping them up. Oh man, this is stuff we got to do while we go. So we're gonna have a couple extra days off to hang out and check stuff out. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. But it's tricky too, getting a new project off the ground. Even though we all have our own individual things, it can be like you go to promoters and it's like, hey, do you want to book Triplicity? Well, what's that? They have no idea. So it's been a little tricky getting touring with it, but we're plugging along, and we all still have our solo things too. So it's kind of like a side project. It's not like our new main focus is the trio thing, but we love it, and whenever we can do some gigs together, we will. So it's been great.
It's important to be able to mix things up a little bit because most of us who are better known as solo players, I mean, we have these long tours we do where every show is alone, and you spend a lot of time on your own, and every once in a while it's really nice to just have a chance to collaborate, even if it means everybody makes not as much money as they would when they play solo. sometimes it's really good for the soul and the brain and the heart to not always be a lone wolf, you know. So
Yeah.
and the collaborations, I mean, the seamlessness of the collaborations that you're doing with Triplicity really work, and nice recording sounds and stuff like that. So well done. What's with the fancy clothes?
Oh.
I have to ask.
Oh, and the videos, the suits and whatnot, that whole
Yep.
thing. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, someone a former manager person, um, actually tried to help us out for a little while, and that was his idea. One of my former managers, we thought he might be able to help us out with Triplicity, and he threw out this idea of going back to like a Wes Montgomery. Look at all these jazz guys, how they wore suits and stuff. Nobody's ever done that in the fingerstyle guitar world. And I don't know. We were like, okay, so we kind of rolled with it, and we all kind of like the idea of having our own color a little bit. I mean, that's on the album, and we've kind of rolled with that a bit. But the whole suits thing was a bit like, I don't know, this isn't really us. This is a bit weird.
I know.
So it's in some of.
Sometimes you have to try stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you try stuff, and then you're like, nah, I don't think so. So
Well,
yeah, the suits thing is a bit weird. So.
years ago as well, I was in a quartet, right, with Dan Crary and Beppe Gambetta and Tony McManus. We were called Men of Steel, and we did like, I don't know, 4 tours and 2 albums and stuff. And
Yeah.
and we found, it was fun. We enjoyed being together, but it was the logistics were huge because we lived in 4 different parts of the world, and also, getting the right venues and enough money and all that kind of stuff is tricky. In a way, the nice thing about playing solo is that it's just you, and you don't have a huge crew and all that kind of stuff to pay, and it's pretty manageable once you get into being a quartet, and very often you have to have a sound person, and then it turns into more of a crew, and it's just like if you're not making many thousands of dollars a night at the shows, you don't make any money. So that's the tricky. It's the logistical side of it is the reason why these things don't happen as often as they do. But in that quartet, one of our members, I won't mention who, had the bright idea that we should get gussied up as well. So on our first album, we're all wearing like black kind of suits, and I wasn't really wearing a suit. I think I was wearing like a black t-shirt with a black jacket on top, and yeah, this whole idea of sort of gussying it up and try to be a little more classy with it, but then we ended up not feeling comfortable performing that way. I think we did one tour like that and said, oh, all right, it's not really us. Anyway, that's funny. And so
that's important, because I think one of the things about this whole style, I think, is how authentic and genuine it is. So when you start kind of getting off track there, it loses something. So at least that's the way I felt. So I was like, man, I can't do this anymore.
I get it.
Yeah.
And so you're taking the trio to Japan, and then any other touring plans for the Triplicity later in the year?
Actually, at the moment, no, we don't have anything else lined up. But we tried to kind of get as much as we could last year, and we did pretty fair amount of touring, but we also did some solo stuff here and there. But like I said, yeah, it's just kind of tricky to get promoters aware, and so maybe we'll have to do another album in the future and just kind of keep it rolling before things kind of build. But the response from fans and from people in the industry was really great. I sent it to famous guitar players that I know. Was like, hey, here's my new thing, what do you think about it? And they were just like, man, this is everybody seemed to really love it. But it's just it's hard to get new stuff out, I guess, sometimes when it has a new name and all this, so tricky.
Yeah, well, good on you. It's great that you're trying new things and having fun with it. Let's watch a little bit more of another Triplicity video here. Going to play the Triplicity arrangement of your tune For My Father. Might not make it through the whole tune, just want to be able to chat a bit more, but here's a bit of an Andy McKee tune by his new guitar trio. That's really lovely. I wanted to talk for a minute just about how you deal with sort of not stepping on each other's toes musically. I know that when I collaborate, yeah, I've collaborated with Callum, with you, with Brooke Miller, with the quartet, and lately a lot with Julie Malia, also known as Yula Malishka. Um, and it's always I find it's always a challenge to make sure that you play parts that complement, that aren't just straight, note for note parallel harmony or anything like that. So with two guitars, that's a challenge enough. Very often you solve the problem by one of you plays baritone or the one plays the capo on or something, playing different ranges. How do you do it with three guitars in your case?
Yeah, well, that was something we had to take into consideration, of course, with every one of those tunes. But one thing that worked out was that Trevor has a few tunes that he's written like with the Nashville tuning, and so he relied on that on a few of the tracks. So that's like when you take a set of 12 strings for a 12-string guitar, but then just put on the higher set. So you end up with like I think the first and second string are like normal, and then all the other ones are an octave higher. So you get this really sparkly kind of high-pitched guitar. And then, maybe Callum would play baritone, and then I'd play standard guitar, like we did that on Hunter's Moon, I think, is like that. I'm pretty sure, but there's a few I think on the album that are like that. So that kind of was an easy way to kind of get a broader range for everybody to play in different registers. But as far as what I would do on some of the tracks, like if Trevor came in with one, and I would think, well, maybe I'll just do a simple like rhythmic chordal thing, just grabbing chords, staccato, here and there. And it doesn't even have to be hard, it doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be anything other than trying to accent what's there, and that's all there is to it. It's not about, I don't give a damn about this tune isn't my tune. I'm trying to make this tune a little bit more, a little variation of it. That's all I'm trying to do. This tune's a little different because I'm on it, and I'm just going to do a little something here. I'm not going to come here and just screw around and it's, hey, look, I'm on this track. Check me, blah, blah, blah. That's, if you're coming in the studio like that, you're fired. That's,
Yeah,
I think we all
exactly.
have that. Yeah, we all
You
have
should
that
be
mindset.
thinking. You should be thinking about the arrangement first.
Yeah,
like the piece of
totally. Yeah.
music. What's best for the piece of music? What actually presents well to the listener? Because if you try to make it like you say about ego strutting or whatever, or swaggering on the guitar, that gets old very quickly.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's people usually see through it, and most people want to hear music. They don't care about what it looks like. They want to hear it, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's so cool. It's lovely to hear because I've again had similar experiences where everybody's like trying really hard not to just not to ruin things. You're trying not to play too many notes, not trying to overplay. I have a couple of questions from listeners, watchers. Kyle Linehan wants to know about our thoughts on string gauges for harp guitar. So he says he understands that Michael Hedges used 56s for all the sub bass strings in his old harp guitar. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I'm surprised he did, but that may very well be the case. What solutions do you come up with, Andy, for the sub basses on the harp guitar?
Yeah, I actually don't know if that's true or not either. I'm not sure, but I guess the trick is to make sure you have the scale length. Like the Greenfield harp guitar, wherever it is over there. Anyway, it's got a really long scale length on that last bass string, so I can't use just regular guitar strings at all. I've got to have them custom made, and so I go. I think it's like 70. It's kind of almost like a baritone set, a little bit on the low end, like 70, and then I think it's a 56, and then like a 52 or something, and it kind of stays in that lower register. And my highest harp string is a G, so I think it's like a 46 or somewhere in there. So it's like 70, 58, 54. I'm not exactly positive, to be honest with you, off the top of my head, but it stays in that kind of lower register. But
Do
yeah,
you change your tuning very often on the harp guitar on the sub bass strings?
yeah, yeah, I guess almost every one of the tunes I do on there, which I don't have a ton, but anyway, they all have different tunings on the harp side. The Greenfield fortunately has hip shot little half switches, which can help facilitate some of those changes because if you're also changing the guitar side, you're going to be suddenly tuning that thing for 10 minutes in between your songs. But
Fun.
there's some cases where I can and yeah, keeps it real interesting. But you can use those to help get through the tunings quicker.
Just to answer the question from my side, Kyle, I get Ernie Ball to make some strings for it, and the bottom string, like the longest one, I think is a 68. And then basically they go in increments of 2/1000. So it's like 68, 66, 64. And then I think I do a 60, a 56, and a 45. That's what I do for the higher strings. My highest sounding sub bass string is actually very often tuned higher than the bottom of my 6-string guitar. Because for certain arrangements I do, that makes a lot more sense because of key changes and stuff like that happen in the pieces. So great question. Thanks for that. And let me just see if there were other quick questions. A lot of people are saying hello from places like Texas and Taiwan. And anyway, yeah, if you have other questions, just let us know. Let's just see now, checking Facebook. Have you ever tried a Tonewood amp on a harp guitar? Christopher asks.
Yeah,
I have not. Have you?
I have. Yeah. It works just fine. Works great. And
Cool.
actually, I've got the new Tonewood Amp 2 here, the prototype, and I guess they're going to start shipping the new ones next month. But it's pretty awesome. There's like an app for your phone for the new Tonewood Amp 2, which makes dialing it in a lot easier, and you get a little more detail, and pretty cool.
So the quick explanation is, as far I've never tried one. So my understanding is that it's an amplifier that actually attaches onto the back of the acoustic guitar, and then it's kind of out of the way, but it creates amp-like effects on the fly, kind of thing.
Yeah, it kind of resonates through the guitar body, so it just comes out of the sound hole. It attaches to the back of the guitar, and you plug it into your pickup down at the bottom. But it has reverb or delays and tremolos and things like that if you want to get into all that. But and then there's EQ, and then there's also notch filters if you start getting any sort of feedback. Pretty awesome. I dig it.
So is it the idea that you can put your guitar through it and then also run that into a DI, and then it adds effects before the DI? Is that the idea?
Yeah, you could. I guess what I mainly use it for is just to like backstage. If you want some reverb, that's kind of the what I use it for, just to kind of get that stage sound a bit, or that just the hall reverb while you're playing back on the couch or whatever. But you can use them on stage as well. Yeah.
And do you ever use them recording?
No, I haven't.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I've seen people use those things and demo them online and stuff. I've never known that much about them, but cool. And so we've talked about the Triplicity thing. How about your solo thing? Are you working on new material for a solo album?
Yes, I'm happy to say. And I'm actually would like to admit too that I've been a bit kind of uninspired for a while with solo acoustic guitar. Maybe I've been playing electric guitar some and playing some keyboards and things like that. But I don't know. Sometimes you kind of need a break from what it is you do or something to kind of get reignited, maybe. But in the last like 4 or 5 months, I've just been. It's almost like I'm a kid again, and I've been playing for hours sometimes. Actually, my shoulder blade over here is really almost injured. It's super sore because I've just been playing for too many hours in a row. But I've been having a lot of fun. Just I don't know, the creativity is there again, I guess you could say, and trying to find interesting things to say again. Because I don't know, maybe the whole way my career took off, and it's like suddenly the spotlight's on you, and then it's all like this super guitar focused thing, and it's like guitar, you're a guitar world, guitar player, guitar, hey, guitar, and you're just like, my God, I'm tired of the word guitar a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit of a box, isn't it?
It is totally, yeah. And I guess it kind of like you get caught up in this like, oh, I got to be this guitar thing or whatever, and I just felt detached a bit from the art of it. Maybe it's really what it was. So I'm just feeling that again, and it's like finding what is I want to say something, whatever's inside, that, and it comes out on the guitar. That's cool, but just finding that. And I got to admit too, like the state of the world just seems so chaotic for the many years now. That I think that's had a part of me feeling like confused and worried and not in a place of like, okay, I can create something and say something. But I think I'm letting go of that. And it's like, I recently saw a thing with David Lynch, who sadly passed away, but he had said something about just letting the world pass by. There's nothing you can do about it. And you just have to, you just got your little world here, and that's what you can focus on. So I thought that was inspiring. And so it's like, yeah, I can't
Yeah.
do anything about the world out there. It's nuts.
Yeah, I find that balance. I find that balance really important because, I have this little life that I lead here in this little house in this little town, and and that's when I'm not on the road, that's basically my world. It's mostly this room, um, and I try to keep up a little bit with what's going on in the world, but yeah, if you immerse yourself too much in it, then you just start thinking that we're all going to die tomorrow or something. So
Yeah,
it can make you
yeah.
feel so bummed out that you don't want to be creative. So it's important.
Hmm.
It's important to be a bit of a hermit sometimes when it comes to information and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
question from a watcher here. Um, it's Gurbajong. Sorry if I'm spelling that wrong, saying that wrong. If I'm correct, you came from metal music. I'm presuming he's talking to you. How did you decide to make the change into this kind of music? So, were you a metalhead growing up?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially as a teenager, and I guess I liked heavy metal from pretty young age. Really, I got into Iron Maiden when I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I just thought I liked the energy of it, and the visuals of it was pretty cool too. Their sort of zombie mascot Eddie was super cool, and so I grew my hair long, and had that for many years, and was way into the metal music. But um, when I guess Preston Reed was really the first guy that made me think about instrumental acoustic guitar. I saw him do a guitar workshop, here in Topeka, Kansas, when I was 16, and that was kind of it. I'd always loved instrumental music, since a young age as well, but I just never thought about solo acoustic guitar. Just didn't really think about it as like, yeah, I love that. But seeing him with the altered tunings and all these wild techniques was really intriguing from a guitar standpoint, and so I got his album called Metal. Ironically, isn't that funny? But and I was just, was really, really interested in it. I was like, this is fascinating. Everything you can do with the acoustic guitar, and that branched out, of course, into Michael Hedges and later to you as well. And it's just, it just seems like the perfect approach to guitar to me. I love how creative it is. It just seems endless. You can change the guitar tunings. You can just do so much. Different techniques, use percussion on the guitar body if you want, or it's just really up to you. You can do anything. And I like how there's not really a genre defining what it is. It's not jazz, it's not classical, it's not folk really. It's just whatever you want it to be, and you can play the guitar how you want, and it's you coming out on the guitar. I just love that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I have a hard time when people say things like they refer to fingerstyle guitar as a genre, and it's like, no, it's just a way of playing the instrument. I mean,
Yeah.
you can play with a flat pick, you can play with your fingers, and you can play nylon string with your fingers, you can play steel string with your fingers, you can play steel string with a flat pick, whatever. It's just a
Yeah.
technique, really. Ultimately, you're just playing music, and you should be able to play any kind of music that you want to play on the instrument. The guitar is harmonic, it's melodic, it's percussive, it's rhythmic, it's all these. It's like, who was it? Was it, I forget, Vivaldi, I guess, called the guitar a little orchestra. And, it's, yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
yeah.
Another question from the Peanut Gallery here, from my good buddy Julia Malishka over in Germany. My touring partner, she says, Andy, is there a musical heart project you want to do in the future? With whom would you really like to collaborate? And would you also want to play with people who play other instruments other than the guitar?
Mm,
Lot of questions in one question.
sure. Well, a musical heart project, like something that I would love to do. Is that what that?
Yeah, I think what she means basically like a pet project, like something that you'd really love to do sometime.
Oh gosh, I guess I'm just so refocused on the solo guitar thing at the moment. It's hard for me to even think about that at the moment. But and like collaborations too. I feel lucky that I've got to do stuff with you um, and the Triplicity thing, and I've got to meet so many of my favorite guitar players and stuff too. And I think it's almost really hard to say at the moment because I want to find something inside right now and get it out. So it's hard for me to almost even think about collaborating at the moment. I mean, I love the Triplicity thing. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, we're heading to Japan and stuff too. But I guess at the moment I'm just so focused on this solo thing again and seeing where I can go with it. So, gosh, I don't really know.
That's a perfectly valid answer. Yeah,
yeah.
Julie just sort of clarifies. She just says something you have always wanted to do but haven't done yet. I guess that's what she means. Cool. Yeah. Thank you, Peter, it was Beethoven who said the guitar is an orchestra. Thank you. Didn't he also say that the guitar has moonlight in it? I think he said that. I think that was also Beethoven.
Wow.
Well, speaking of collaborating, I thought it would be fun to watch one more little thing that you and I did years ago. This is from back in the day when we did the duet album together, this album called The Thing That Came From Somewhere. We recorded it in my home studio when I lived in Cannington, Ontario. You came up for a few days one summer and we just kind of worked like crazy on it. But the tune that we worked like the craziest on was, you remember well, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tune by the Yellow Jackets. This guy, Russ Ferrante, he's one of the main composers in this kind of jazz band called the Yellow Jackets. They're kind of like a little bit, not really a fusion band. They're kind of like very adventurous, not jazz in the traditional sense, but kind of a new thing. And their tunes are like his tunes, especially, are very, very convoluted harmonically. And I really wanted to do this one for years, and I couldn't find there were parts of the tune that no matter how hard I tried, I could not pick out by ear. And my ear's good usually at picking out changes, but the changes are so wild in it. And it changes key, 3 or 4 times in the tune. But anyway, we spent, I remember all day, I finally found a chart. I found a chart and I bought this great big book. It was a fake book that like a commercial, like a legit fake book, but it had the tune in it. I found it online and went, oh my gosh, there's a chart somewhere. So the 40% of the tune that I couldn't figure out by ear, there I finally had it. And it was like a change every note practically. So I think with the way we work, you worked out a really cool tune where you played it like an open D tuning, right? And you played.
Gosh, I don't even remember.
You played this thing with the kind of imitated the opening piano vamp, and then for most of it you play the melody and I play the chords, and we switch solos, and I can't remember. Anyway, it was fun to watch the video again. I hadn't seen it in years. So here's a live off the floor performance in my part of my living room that in the house I used to have in Ontario. And Rob from the record company showed up with his then state-of-the-art video camera, which looks really grainy now. This is Spirit of the West, a tune by the Yellow Jackets that we arranged. my God, it's so funny watching that. It's just like watching my left hand, thinking I have no recollection of playing any of those chords.
There were
But
so many chords in that
there's
book. I
so many
remember.
chords,
It's like,
yeah.
oh my.
And then we used to start the show every night with that tune. I think to get it over with because it was so complicated. So we just figured, well,
Yeah.
let's play the hardest tune first, right? And then we always started
Yeah.
the second set with Klimbim because you had to get into the stupid tuning that it's in, and so there was no
Yeah.
way that you would risk doing that in the middle of a set.
F sharp on that first
Yeah, the
string.
F sharp
Pop!
on the first string. Yeah, hello. Yeah, I think there was a lot of string changing between shows going on back in those days. Meh. But
Man.
yeah, well, we had a lot of hair back then too. The two of
That's
us,
dude. I was just gonna say, look at those hairy guys.
two hairy
Wow.
guys. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Actually,
But
man, I remember how that came about, that arrangement and stuff, because I think it was the first time you invited me up to teach at your guitar workshop, the guitar camp in Cannington. And, we still barely kind of knew each other. And like this idol, and still are, of course. But I just like, oh my God, I'm sitting in this car driving with you from the airport to go up to Cannington. And you put on that song in the car, and you said you'd always loved it and that you always wanted to do an arrangement of it. And I just stuck that in my back pocket, and I was like, man, I was blown away by the tune. I'd never heard it before, but when I got home, I bought the album and was like, man, I gotta try to come up with something. So next time I saw you, I brought out that vamp, and that was how we started. I remember with that.
yeah, I was so pleased that you came up with that. I thought, well, there he's got the intro. It's great. This is wonderful.
Yeah,
And
start with that.
Let's see what we can do with that. It's awesome. A bunch of people are saying they had no idea it was a Yellow Jackets tune until like 10 years after they heard our version, and then they accidentally tripped over the Yellow Jackets version and went, "Oh my God, you started Andy's song." A couple of people are asking questions. Christopher is asking a question on Facebook. Can we talk a little bit about playing flesh versus nails on the right hand and your experiences playing with both? I can tell you right away that I played with flesh of my right hand on the guitar strings when I was very young. Everybody complained they could never hear me, so I eventually... What happened? Right. A friend of mine, when I was about 12 years old, gave me a set of plastic finger picks, and I tried them out, and it made a lot louder. It was a bit weird at first. I got used to it. Eventually, I switched to the metal picks, the ones that are kind of made for banjo. And then I heard that, didn't have access to much recording gear back then. I finally went into a studio, heard the sound of the metal picks on the metal strings, and went, that's awful. So I thought, I got to do something about that. So I was walking down Yonge Street in Toronto, and I walked by a nail salon, and a little headlight went off in my head, and I got one nail done as an experiment. So I got this one done, kept these two picks and the thumb pick, and went, oh yeah, that's fine. That's great. So I went back the next day and got the other two done and finished this recording I was working on. And so that's 30 years ago, and I've been using fake nails ever since. I do them myself now. How about you, Andy?
Yeah, so I've always just been kind of the flesh. I don't have any nails really on there, but I've got the thumbnail. Bloop. So the reason why I was, when I first got into the style, I was still playing a lot of electric guitar. So if I wanted to do any sort of tapping on the fretboard of electric guitar, the nails would get in the way. So I was like, maybe I'll just keep, playing without nails on my right hand. And that's just always been that way. I tried playing with a thumb pick for a little while, trying to be like Don Ross, but I felt like the angle was just weird. I was already just so used to playing with my thumb and kind of getting some of the nail on my thumb to hit the string as well. But, I don't know if it's just my right hand approach that I'm able to get enough volume. I kind of get under the string, maybe more than the typical finger style player or what, but I'm able to get some volume with just the flesh, and that's been my thing ever since.
Yeah. Also, I guess less of an issue when you're playing solo. I know that when I was, when we recorded our album, I was the engineer as well. So when I was mixing the record, I found I really had to bring my faders way down compared to yours because I'm such an aggressive player with these, great big plastic things on my nails and just tons of attack, lots of volume. So it was easy to get buried if I didn't watch it. Same thing. I do some recording now with Julie Malia, and she's really coming from the classical world, and she plays with natural nails, and even when she plays steel string. So our volume levels are quite different, so I have to be careful with the mixing. And same with live playing. But it's okay. Every player is different. Every player has a different way of playing, and that's all good. It's all good. There's no right or wrong when it comes to it. As long as you make a happy sound, it's all good. And there was. I ever had a compromising nail break before a gig. Oh yeah, that's more of a tragedy for you, Andy. I guess if you break a nail just before a show.
Yeah, sometimes I will travel with a kit just for the thumbnail thing. If I break that, I'll put on a fake thumbnail until the end of the tour or whatever, and I can grow it back out.
Excellent. This
Mhm.
one fella, Dale, says, saw you in Truro in 2008 and on Bearing. Oh, at the church gig in Halifax in 2016. That was fun. Uh, and the Spirit of the West duet is beautiful. Thank you very much. Well, speaking of touring, just I've been slowly updating websites, but I'm doing some touring in Nova Scotia again with Julie in March. So I just started putting those dates up on our joint website. So we're playing Truro again. We're playing the Marigold Center April the 11th, I think it is. We're playing in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia on the 12th, Halifax on the 13th, and there's more. We're playing in Wolfville, right? In Wolfville on March 29th. Wolfville, Nova Scotia. That just got ticketed yesterday. So anyway, there's a bunch of shows coming up in Nova Scotia and coming your way, Dale. So be nice to see you. Bipla, hello from India. It's very nice to see you there. And what's your favorite video game? Says Mikhail Ekstrand to you, Andy. What's your favorite video game?
What am I playing right now? Well, actually, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 again. So I'm pretty fond of that, and I've been playing Super Mario Party with my family and Super Mario Kart quite a bit. So
Excellent.
there you go. Yeah, it's
It's
been
funny.
fun.
I by contrast, I'm not a gamer, but I write music for video games. So the video game that I've been scoring for the last 3 years is finally being soft released at the end of this month to beta test it to make sure that the servers can take it and stuff. And then it's going into wide release. It's called Manicaster, and the music's really good, if I do say so myself. And that would probably be a cool thing to end with because we're at our hour and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Oh, but Julie's asking, when are you coming back to Germany?
Yeah, not soon enough. I've got some touring lined up this year. I'm going to kind of the Northeast here in the States in March, and then I'm over to Ireland, England, and the Netherlands, almost Germany, in June and May, late May and June. But yeah, I think the promoter in Germany is waiting for me to release a new album, like everyone else that likes my music. So I'm sorry that I haven't got a new album out for a while of solo guitar, but that'll be happening this year, as well as a 20th anniversary of Art of Motion. I play those tunes quite a bit different than I did 20 years ago, so I thought it'd be worthwhile to re-record those. Yeah,
Cool.
but maybe in the fall I'll get back to Germany. We'll see.
One more question from Peter. Do we use any effects when playing live? Any pedals? Yeah, I've got a little pedal board that has an octave pedal and an envelope filter to get an automatic wah-wah effect for a couple of tunes, a chorus pedal, and a digital delay. And I think that's it. How about, and reverb. How about you, Andy?
Traditionally, I've never traveled with any effects, but I just last year got one of the Quad Cortex units from Neural DSP.
How'd you hear that, Julie? Quad Cortex. Yeah, she's been wanting one.
Oh man, I've been really enjoying it. I've been playing. That's what I've been playing on for all these hours practicing, and so playing around with some octave things and delays, and of course reverb. And it's just been really inspiring, actually, to play with different effects and get new sounds. And so it's been really cool. And actually, one really cool thing about that is I was able to capture my Fender amplifier back there, so I can actually sound like I'm coming out of this Fender Acoustasonic. Yeah, I can do that whole kind of thing. So, and then I could just travel with that, and it's super easy.
It's like an emulation, basically, of your amp.
Yep, it can capture any amplifier you plug it into. So
yeah, you're doing the Metallica thing.
Yes.
I think that's so great. I think it's so great that those guys don't even use amps anymore. I mean, who wants to lift amps around? I mean, just use an emulator, it's like amp simulator, amp emulator, whatever they call it, a modeler, and it sounds the same. I mean, really, it does. Come on, like digital technology is so good now. When people say it doesn't sound the same, they're blowing smoke.
And you're good.
Yeah, you betcha. Thanks so much for being here, Andy. I thought, since we were talking about video games a minute ago, one of the videos I have queued up by you is your very beautiful arrangement of a Jeremy Soule tune for a video game. Maybe you could just intro it and then I'll play it.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I am an absolute video game addict since I was a child, so still to this day. And I always loved the music from Skyrim and most of Jeremy Soul's work. I was playing that and heard Streets of Whiterun, and I thought I'd try to arrange it for solo harp guitar. So that's what you've got lined up there. And this is on my Symbol EP that I released a couple years ago. So
Nice.
there you go.
And happy to play this. And always remember the artist is one thing and the art is another. That's all I'll say about this composer.
Agreed. Agreed.
Thanks for being here, and we'll see you again soon. I hope maybe somewhere down the road. And thanks
Absolutely.
everybody for joining the stream today. You can check out my teaching site here, the Don Ross Guitar Academy. These streams every Saturday happen usually as part of that, just for the members. But we decided to make this one public because Andy's a good friend of the Academy and old buddy of mine. So that'll be fun to have him on. And of course, there's Andy's website on the other side. Oh, I guess I can't really do it on the half screen. Here we go. It's not like a mirror. It's not like a mirror. AndyMcKee.com. So you can check out his concert appearances and all that kind of stuff and what he's got coming up. His musicarium teaching thing that he's doing in Lawrence, Kansas this year. Yeah. And so check all that out because he's a very busy guy and he's a good teacher and a great player and great fella. Anyway.
Hey, Don, too. Hey, yeah. I don't know if you get to hear it enough, but man, you really inspired all of us. So thank you, for being such a huge part of my life. And I know Antoine, he would tell you the exact same thing. And we've gone on to inspire other people, but you're such a hero to all of us. So thank you.
You're sweet.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Love to the family, and we'll see you soon. And
all right.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Bye-bye.